Welcome everyone to the next episode of the Send Nutrition Podcast. You're with your host Bryan and Peter today, and today's topic is hay belly in horses, the cause and treatment. How are you, Peter?
Brian, not too bad today. We're back from our Melbourne trip last week, so good to be home. It was very enlightful and met a lot of good people as well. So
yeah, country Victoria is a really nice place. It's the first time I've been out Ballarat way.
But Brian, we still had or saw a few horses, triple rug, and it was 27, 28, which made us nauseous again.
Yeah, it was nice not wearing a jacket in Victoria for once as well, but the horses had their jackets on, so we were, yeah.
We'll keep on persevering with our quest to get as many unrugged horses when it's, 25, 26 degrees.
Yeah, and that sort of leads us to this next topic, and that's hay belly in horses and understanding why a horse can develop a hay belly. There's so many weird and wonderful causes that people come up with just because the horse has got hay belly due to the hay. And yeah, they're partly right, but there is easily ways to treat this. And Peter and I will go through this today.
Yeah, Brian, I think it sort of looks worse than what it is. So like once again with everything, the horse has got a symptom and we need to try to get to the root cause of the problem. So obviously, this came through, I think, an email. I think our customers sent through and asking us if we could do a podcast on hay belly, which we said automatically, yeah, great topic, because we were scratching our heads what we could do. So what basically it is, hay belly is, it basically refers to the bloating of the abdomen. When viewed from the front, the horse basically looks pregnant, which is not a great look. And obviously, owners might start to panic and go, geez, like that's wrong.
Yeah, they go, look at that pregnant gelding.
Yeah, well. So what's it caused by? So basically it's caused by poor fermentation. And what it is, it's basically the bloating is from excessive fluid and gas. And it all starts from poor quality hay, basically. So what you want to do is you want to look for a hay that's got a lot more leaf and less stem. And how that bloating sort of happens from is excessive amounts of cellulose and lignin, which is more prominent in that stem rather than the actual leaf itself.
Yeah, that's well said, Peter, because it all stems from that whole gut microbiome. There's billions of microorganisms in this environment, and if they're not being supplied with correct fiber, and as we went through that quality fiber source, not a poor quality hay fiber source, then they can't flourish, and then that is a flow-on effect and gives these symptoms of this hay belly.
Yeah, so if you do suspect that your hay is heading towards the hay belly direction, what you need to look out for is look for your hay to be not overly mature, bordering on straw. So you don't want it sort of as hard a straw as sort of, lifeless as straw, because the stems are thick and woody, and that's where it's not very nutritious, where you want to look for a hay that's very leafy. Obviously, the more green, the more nutrients it'll have through it. But yeah, as a rule of thumb, when you are purchasing a hay, obviously there's a lot of pasture around Australia at the moment because there's a lot of rain. But when you do have to supplement with hay, always look for a leafy hay rather than one that's very sort of woody, thick and stalky as well.
Yeah, and they generally have lower levels of protein, not good quality protein as well. And this also causes issues in terms of muscle tone, in particular the top line. So you're going to get that exaggerated look in your horse having that hay belly and no top line, and it's not very nice to look at.
No, it almost looks sort of off and sick a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. And particularly in the smaller ponies, so those miniatures, you can see it really exaggerated because of their small stature.
I think some of our racehorse trainers sort of don't give enough credit to hay. Look, a lot that we've spoken to initially, they sort of look at hay as just like a fiber filler, but in fact, it's, most of the fiber is fermented in a large intestine, which produces volatile fatty acids, and then basically, that goes through the intestinal lining in the cells. A lot of calories as well, and a lot of people don't know hay actually has simple sugar starches, so you do get your carbohydrates out of hay, not just your grain source.
Yeah, and getting that overall balance with the diet is going to be the number one protocol to overcome this hay belly that's developed. So as Peter said, strip it right back to the basic foundation. Find a good hay supply merchant, be their best friend, and keep that number on speed dial because you want the best quality batches for your horse. If you've got good pasture, maintain that, get it tested if that's the way you want to go. But getting that really good fiber source is going to be really imperative to avoiding hay belly.
And look, if you are in a remote area in Australia somewhere where you do sort of battle with getting good quality hay and you're forced to feed something similar to straw, the Centerloopin pellet is a fantastic addition. It's 30% fibre, very digestible. You're getting really good protein out of it, really low sugar and starch, and you can actually use that lupin pellet towards your fibre source. So if the hay is very, very poor, you will be topping up the fibre with the lupin pellet. Plus, you've got the low iron, the zinc and coppers, very balanced as well. So you can supplement that lupin pellet basically for the additional fibre.
Yeah, and furthermore to that, our whole Sen feed range is geared towards helping that whole microbiome be in the best condition it can be. There's hundreds of different bacteria species in there that all need to be nourished and flourish in there for that whole fermentation process to really be efficient within the horse, because it's used for nutrient absorption, it's used for energy production, and if that's not right at the core, you're just running a high-risk operation within the horse to gain the very best of health, and starting with that really good quality hay is one of the best steps forward.
We sort of drum on like a broken record about how important hay is, and look, it's an important food. It's not just a filler, and it's not something just to keep your horse busy either. Horses in the wild evolved on pasture sort of hays alone, so there wasn't such thing as concentrates, and maybe too much concentrates and carbohydrates does contribute to a lot of the illnesses and symptoms that horses have these days.
One thing we do notice when someone suspects hay belly, they do have that throwaway line saying, I'm just going to restrict the hay. That is the wrong thing to do.
That's dangerous.
And I hear it time after time. Do not restrict the hay. Look at the hay type, or when you can get an improved hay type, you feed as much as you can to it, and the hay belly will correct itself from that point. So please don't restrict the hay, because it's so important. That digestible fibre and indigestible fibre is so vital for that whole digestive tract, the foregut and the hindgut, for it to function properly. Then you'll avoid those metabolic problems such as colic, laminitis, and that hindgut acidosis from happening.
Yeah, well, you're making that gut acid a lot more acidic, which obviously makes that horse more prone to ulcers as well. And it's sort of like a quick fix. It sort of goes, oh well, look, it's working, but then inside, the horse is probably slowly getting ill, which then you might have to get the vet out to treat the symptoms that your restriction of forage is causing, but also the hormones. So obviously horses are trickle feeders. They need that acid to be emptying pretty quickly. When you restrict that, you're causing its hormones to be out of whack. There's cortisol, which is then there's stress, then there's behavior issues. So you're actually going to cause a lot more damage by restricting the hay than obviously giving it grain to get rid of the hay belly. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, that's well said, Peter. And that segues onto our next cause of this, and it's not the common cause, and it's not the most common cause, but it can be seen in young horses if they have a heavy parasite load in the intestines. So that look of a hay belly could be a heavy parasite load, and then the ways to fix that is obviously a dewormer, a broad spectrum one that will help against that activity of the worms showing the hay belly symptoms. Another cause, which is seen in broodmares and older horses, and it relates to cortisol as well, so it's Cushing's disease. And when it's uncontrolled, it is caused by weak muscles in the abdomen wall, and that's going to really descend that abdomen, and then this causes that hay belly look.
Bryan, I think that leads into also the gut microbiome in the horse too. So if it's out of whack, if there's been stress or the horse has been on antibiotics, like a lot of that good bacteria would have been killed out. So there is an opportunity there to do a flush with a product like the Sen Extra Balance, just to there might be some toxins there, mytoxins there, change your hay or change your feed, a bit of stress. The Extra Balance is a great product just to do that reset. One tub should be enough. I think it's about a 33-day supply just to balance out, that microbiome, but also the immune system. And, 70-80% of the horse's immune system is in its gut. So we need to get that healthy, especially with slowly coming into the winter time where if a horse is on pasture, that might be sort of phasing out into a hay diet. So it's good to get ready for that transition period too.
Yeah, 100% agree there, Peter. The other maintenance of a horse to prevent the hay belly is that regular exercise. So just like us, a sagging torso or poor posture, we've got to sort of sit up straight. But if you can keep the horse physically fit, it's going to really help prevent showing those hay bellies. And it's using the muscles around there being well toned. They can't get a six pack, but we can.
Bryan, is a hay belly for horses like a beer belly for men? Maybe that's why we drink gin, not beer.
Yeah, it could well be, and yeah, it stems from a poor diet then too. Hey,
Poor diet, lack of exercise, too much of a good thing.
yeah. So yeah, everything in moderation, and trying to activate those muscles, but with a horse, getting those foundations right to feed those muscles correctly, and the right exercise is really important.
I think in this topic, it's very easy to make an error, like, because most people think, oh, look, it's a hay belly. They wouldn't put two and two together and think that it's actually the hay, all those other issues that are contributing to the problem, whether, oh, let's cut the hay, we'll give it grain. And you sort of make the problem even bigger because, as I said previously, you're sort of making that gut acidic and just heading in the wrong direction. And if the horse isn't getting exercised either, then that's obviously storing a lot of sort of visceral fat as well. So you got to look at your horse as well, that it's not getting crest in the neck, which could lead to a lot of other ailments and sort of illnesses in the future.
So just to sum it up in one sentence, do not cut the hay if your horse has hay belly. Feed it more, but feed it the right type of hay, which is better quality hay in terms of its nutrient profile, and then you'll set your horse up on the right track to avoid hay belly.
Yeah, well said, Brian. And as I said, if our clients have, or our listeners have done that, they've changed the hay and it's still sort of not working, or it's stayed the same, or it's dropped a little bit, then you might need to intervene with the gut microbiome product, like the Extra Balance, just to do a flush, and then hopefully that'll work. If that doesn't work, then you look at maybe the environment. Is the horse by itself? Is an absolute stress head? Is there something that's contributing to that? So it's almost like a process of elimination. You got to look at the symptoms, and whether it's human health or whether it's horse health, there's always going to be symptoms. And rather than just trying to treat the symptom, you got to look at what the root cause is. So we know that the root cause for hay belly, majority of the times it's going to be poor quality hay. So if we can fix that, then we get to the root cause of the problem. Then there's no need to spend all this extra money to treat the symptoms of it.
Yeah, and there's other side effects to getting that gut or that whole area under control, and that's temperament. And it's a big thing. It's under-researched with that gut-brain connection for a horse, but it is emerging that there is a definite influence on that microbiome to their brain health and that sort of mental hormone production to keep the horse in a better mindset. And then when you have a horse in a better mindset, they're able to focus on the task at hand when they're in training.
That's spot on, Brian. That's very well summarised. I've come across some info that I was doing research through for a bit of human health too. And so I'm not sure whether people know, but the brain is connected to the gut through the vagus nerve. So for every 10 impulses that are sent, 9 are sent from the gut to the brain, and then 1 is sent from the brain to the gut. So it's even more important to have a very, very stable, very, very healthy gut microbiome, because it's no point reaching out for the calming supplements, that the horse is going crazy, where the gut might be contributing to it. So when you stabilize the gut, you're going to stabilize the brain. And this is the latest research that we're coming across. So, reaching out for the magnesiums or the calming supplements, look at the gut first before you start going for the brain.
Yeah, 100%, Peter. One of the most important hormones for humans, but also for horses as well, is that serotonin production. And originally it was thought that most of it was made in the brain for a human, but as the research emerges, a lot is in that digestive microbiome, and keeping that in a very healthy state will encourage the production of sufficient serotonin, and that helps you feel good. It helps you feel loved. And if a horse can feel that from its owner, you're halfway there.
Well, I think the owner's going to be very loving that they've got more money in their wallet as well, not splurging out on calming supplements.
Yeah. Getting that base right is so important. We want to save you guys money. We want to save time thinking about nutrition. You want to put more time and effort into your training and getting to know your horse better rather than trying to balance all these things, where we can do it in the most effective way.
I think supplements, have their time and sort of have their cause, but you don't want to be reaching out, for supplements to treat that symptom that you could possibly get to the root cause of, as I said, previously. So if you've got a performance horse that's training 6 days a week, extreme, you're going to have to get some sort of supplement probably daily for that horse, because it's an athlete. There's a fine line between winning and losing, and training very hard and possibly causing an injury. So you've got to look after that horse. But if you've got a paddock hack that you jump on once a week, and it's overweight, and you go for a 10-minute ride and it's breathing like it's going to blow a balloon up, you might just want to be careful with what you're feeding, and you might not need to feed that horse as much calories as what a performance horse will need, training, I don't know, 6-7 hours a week.
Yeah, they're all individuals. We have to focus on them each and not compare them to another horse, even in the same environment, because the genetics have a impact on their metabolism, and then we have to just work out that puzzle piece.
Yeah, and I think, Bryan, just to summarize, so probably the take-home message here is the hay is very, very important. Ideally, look for a grassy hay. Sort of Queensland, Western Australia, we'd recommend a subtropical hay like the Rhodes grass. I know in New South Wales, Victoria, Coxfoot, it's a very good grassy hay. Teff is very good as well. Try to stay away from the sugary hays like the Otons and the barleys. So yeah, look, just try to get something grassy where possible, or a native pasture to your area.
Yep, and that'll really prevent that hay belly from even showing.
Like we're going to give up the beers.
So I think we'll wrap that one up, Peter.
Yeah, short and sweet in that one. So thank you for, I think it was Miranda that sent through that. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast. And look, anyone else out there listening, please send through either email or sort of message us on Instagram or Facebook. Any topics you'd like us to cover. Carly's awesome with the free diet analysis I mentioned in the last podcast as well, where obviously weather's changing, a lot of rain. You might want to go through and just see whether your diet's balanced. You might have got a new horse, or you might be getting back into competition. Go through with Carly for the diet analysis. Might be able to save yourself a bit of money as well.
Yeah, and also the Sen users group on Facebook, it's really growing, and it's a really good place to show off your Sen success and any questions that you may have or ideas about feeding. And I think it's a really positive environment that we're trying to help each other, but also admire what other people can have achieved on the Sen products.
And there's no such thing as a silly question either. Some people are a bit hesitant about asking a question. And look, I mean, Bryan and I started this 7-8 years ago, not knowing as much as what we know now. But obviously, if you keep an open mind and you try to ask questions to learn from other people, obviously that have gone through that experience, it's going to make you a much wiser and better person.
Yeah, 100%, Peter. We want to keep innovating. We want to try and keep improving the lives of as many horses as possible in Australia and overseas by feeding according to that physiology and not against it. And that's probably what really sums it up, according to nature and as what nature intended. So,
and one last thing, Bryan, I just remembered, we were sort of joking around with the rugging and the horses. I think as a take-home message, just remember when your horse has got sort of ad lib pasture or hay, and you have got it rugged, inside of the horse is like a furnace. So it's just going to keep creating heat, and that heat's got to go somewhere. So if it can't get out, obviously through its coat, it's going to start, storing it as fat inside, and then obviously that's another can of worms. So it's not, that we're just laughing at owners for rugging their horses, but just got to be careful that with the constant, trickle feeding that a horse has, you don't want them to put on too much fat inside, because that's not really healthy. So if it's above sort of 20 degrees, ideally let them have no rug during the day, and if you must rug, just rug it in the evening at night.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Peter. So we will buzz off now, and
see you guys next week again.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.